Welcome to the Raven Roundup, your go-to podcast for all things sports at Royal Oak High School. I'm your host, Sam Klonke.
And I'm your co-host, Ben Machiniak. Join us as we dive into the exhilarating world of Royal Oak High School sports, where we cover all of the amazing teams.
That's right, Ben. Whether you're a dedicated fan cheering from the stands or a player on the field, this podcast is your backstage pass to latest updates, game highlights, and interviews with incredible Raven athletes and coaches.
Well, welcome, everybody, to episode 17, the final episode of the Raven Roundup.
Season 1. And my last episode ever. Maybe I'll come on in again, but my last episode, and this is Ben's first episode.
As the host, officially.
As the host. You see him sitting in that chair. I feel weird.
I don't like this side either.
I don't know what I'm doing here. All right.
Sam, what was your favorite moment from season 1? Or a few if you have multiple.
Oh, man, favorite moment from season 1. It's been full of great memories this season. We started this podcast in November, and we really didn't think about it. We really didn't think about this going.
No, not at all. I didn't think it was going to
17
be
episodes. We
I
kind of thought
a short-term thing.
Hey, just me and Ben talking about all the sports. No really interviews, maybe once every couple weeks. But then it quickly turned into every week.
Yeah.
Wednesday release day. We interview coaches. We interview players. We get every single sport every single week. And it's turned into something really cool. And I'm so happy that we got it to that point, and it's been a blast. Every part of it's been a blast. I think my favorite memory, I don't know. I don't really know what my favorite memory would be from season 1. I think just seeing it grow. Seeing it grow. Because it was from nothing. November, I didn't know I was doing this at the 1st of November. We posted our first episode on the 29th of November.
Yeah.
And I like just seeing it grow. Just having a great time and, connecting with all these coaches, these players, these teams. And, just creating something that I hope can stay here and go on after I leave. So that's got to be my favorite.
My favorite moment from the season, I think, is actually all of the interviews. I think it's always fun, I guess meeting, coaches that, I don't really, interact with.
Yeah.
I had Coach Malazzo for advisory last year.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know him. And then seeing him as a coach, the coaching side of him, it's just cool meeting all those people and getting to know, their story. Coach Bowker, his was cool.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just been a great time. I mean, and also I loved every interview that we did at the field or at the pool. The Coach Miller's great.
Yeah.
All the coaches, all the players, I would like to thank personally, because if it wasn't for you guys, none of this could have happened.
Right.
So I just want to thank them really quick. I want to thank Ben for coming, for listening to me when I kind of thought about this idea. We brainstormed it together then, and we made it the Raven Roundup. And then I want to thank Mr. Conrad for all the support over the last
7 months.
7 months.
And I guess
did I count that month? Did I say those months right in the correct order? I don't know. I think it was good.
And I feel like everybody involved too, like Mr. Anderson and
his
class.
People making the banners. My dad supporting with the
exactly.
And everyone that watches and listens, because if it wasn't for you guys, we would. If no one listened,
stop.
I don't think anyone would.
I wouldn't do this anymore.
I don't think we would do it, or. So we want to thank everyone that's been a part of this first season, and you're a part of something special, because this is the first season of the Raven Roundup, and I hope
there's many more.
Someday when I'm 50 or whatever, I come back.
Wow. And
I see the Raven Roundup still live on whatever season 40 or whatever. So thank you guys so much. A lot of great memories, a lot of fun times, and it's sad that I'm done, but it's been a great time, and I can't wait to see what Ben does next year, because he is the new host.
This is my show now.
What are you?
I'm the host.
Ben Machiniak. I'm the host, Ben Machiniak, and it's a great day.
It is.
So shout out Coach Malazzo on being inducted to our Coaches Hall of Fame here at the Royal Oak High School. and the Michigan High School Bowling Coaches Hall of Fame. So
That is
very
super
special.
exciting. Yeah.
Congratulations to Coach Milazzo. And
He earned it, well deserved.
so now the new host of the Raven Roundup, Ben Machiniak, is going to sit down with the throwing coach, Coach Bowker.
All right, everybody. I'm here with Coach Bowker, the throwing coach for track and field here at Royal Oak High School. So, Coach, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Yep, it's a Friday.
It is.
Yeah.
So first, tell me about your background with throwing, both coaching and playing.
So it's an interesting background because I wasn't a thrower in high school. I was more the sprinter. Maybe not very good, but the sprinter. I started coaching here at Royal Oak Dondero in 1990, and just
wow.
kind of got in touch with what track and field is about under Coach McElroy. And then when I got a teaching job here in '93, they asked me to help out with the track program, and one of the jobs open was throwing coach and hurdle. So that's what I was when I first came, was a throwing coach and hurdle. So I just did a lot of research and went to a lot of clinics to help learn how to teach people or coach people how to throw. And I was very blessed in the beginning with some really good throwers. So we were going to state meets, and I was just lucky and would watch and learn how they threw, and then just try to improve on that. So that's kind of the background of how I got into it. And I've been the throw coach since
So you started before the schools merged, right?
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
What was the merger like?
Yeah, what was that like?
The merger was fine. Like as far as the rivalry between the two schools and the athletes, like the students were fine when they came together. Their parents, on the other hand, had a harder time with the merger of the school. But for the most part, the athletes in that were pretty good. So when Kimball and Dondero came together.
So did you like the Raven being the logo or the mascot?
I'll say it's grown on me. It wouldn't have been one of my favorite one, but the student body picked it. So, but I don't know what I would have went with. But I kind of was hoping they just, believe it or not, would have just remained the Oaks, because I think before Kimball opened, it was Royal Oak, Dondero Oaks anyways, or Royal Oak Oaks. So would have kept the old name of the Royal Oak High School, but that's neither here nor there. It's grown on me, and
Okay.
I'm now in the nest.
Yeah.
So,
what are the essential techniques to both shot put and discus?
well, I follow the Arite throwing technique, and so this is a coach out of Arizona who's developed this program of how to throw. And so it's got 6 pillars, and with each pillar, they call it like a domino effect. How you start is how you finish. So you're trying to set everything up. So, and with disc more than shot is so technical. To have good throws, you really got to have that technique down. And so we kind of work on the different techniques to try to set us up for throwing well.
How do you assess athletes on throwing techniques and performance?
It's a lot of visual and watching. And so, the thing about throwing is the more you do it, the better you get, especially because we break it down on what aspects, where their weakness is inside their throw, and you try to correct that weakness. So their performance, like you want to throw better. I always say at a meet, you want to throw better. Athletes sometimes get caught up in practice trying to out-throw, and really that's kind of the wrong time to do it. You want to just work on the fundamentals and make sure that your body position is correct. But I mean, being an athlete, you always want to throw far. So sometimes they're really hard on themselves. So there's a little psychology that goes on and trying to calm people down on throws, because you're not going to have your PR every time you throw.
Right.
So
What is your approach to developing strength and power in throwers?
I wish we had more time in the day that we could get in the weight room. But because it's so technical, our hour and a half, 2 hours goes by pretty fast.
Right.
But we do explosion drills pretty regularly, and I do we have them do push-ups, fingertip push-ups to help. But the more they can get in the weight room themselves, I mean, we've been in there, not a ton, but we've been in there a few times doing the lifts, like an explosion lifts I kind of believe in. Anything that can build up your shoulders are going to help up with the throwing, either whether that's shot or disc. So that, unfortunately, we're not a program that you can have 3 or 4 hours, because the kids are pretty busy doing
Right.
other things.
Yeah.
So you have like that hour and a half of time, and by the time we start, do warm up, do explosion drills, do our basic footwork kind of stuff, and then get throws in, it's like 5:15 before we know it. And so, I wish I had more time for throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What role does mental preparation play in throwing events, and how do you address this aspect with your athletes?
I think you in any sport you play, right? You should visually imagine what you have to do, and the better you are. If you can see and prepare your mind of what you're going to do when you actually throw it, it's going to help you. Whether if you just show up and try to throw, not likely going to work. As an aspect, I think you start working on. Now that we're starting to get kind of championship season, you kind of start going over what that's going to look like and prepare, because each meet is a little bit different. Some meets you're going to get 2 throws than 1, so there's a gap in between before you have to throw. Others it's 1, 1, and 1, and so you have to prepare mentally for that and keep yourself ready. But yeah, mentally is good. It's good to see what you have to do. So a drill I like to do is slow everything down and like putting it in slow motion. So then you can see where your arms are supposed to be, where your legs are supposed to be, so that muscle memory. So when you go quick, it's kind of there, because you got less than 2 seconds to throw. Like when you start, it's less than 2 seconds. So if you slow it down.
Fast.
Yeah.
How do you set goals with your athletes, and how do you track their progress over time?
So over time, I mean, the great thing about athletic.net is that you can see where your progress is, right? So if you're on it, you can see. But I keep in my notebook of where they're going, like, and how they're progressing. I kind of individually talk what their goals are. Like, you want to throw farther at meets, right? And as we get closer to big meets, that's where you want to have your best performance. So that's kind of the goals. And then depending on the thrower, then you can start talking about qualifying for states, or placing in the state, or winning the state. Like, just depends on the athlete, but it's pretty much individualized. But
is that difficult because it's so individualized?
I don't think so, because I think there's enough time to go around and talk to everyone as they're throwing. Especially as after next week, there's going to be 4 or 5 athletes left throwing.
Right.
Like, it becomes easier to break it down and talk them through things.
So talk about the throwers on the team, especially Jada UL, who's one of the best throwers on the team currently.
Well, yeah, Jada's someone who's worked really hard. So we threw last summer, and then we threw on Fridays during from October till the beginning of the season. So a lot of technique work. So she's put in a lot of time, and that's starting to pay off. Kira's also worked really hard, and her distance is starting to show in the disc also. So. I've had a handful, about 3 kids that came regularly, and their performances are starting to come to fruition as far as the distance that they want. But yeah, it's been exciting. Last year I had Ellie, who was a really good thrower. I had her for a few years, and then I had. I've just been really lucky to have someone who's qualified for the state almost every year.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. And so, like you said, it becomes that kind of one-on-one when they get to this point where you can
really
sit down and talk. Yeah, really talk. And we do more film, where we break down the film as far as where they are in different positions of their throw. So, yeah, it's exciting.
And are there any common misconceptions about throwing that you want to clear up?
Well, I'm sure the other runners don't think that we work hard. When our work's maybe a little different as far as we may not be able to run a mile real quick, but we work hard in throwing. So I don't know if there's too many misconceptions. So I think they see how hard we work. I mean, if you ask someone to join track, usually they say, I hate running. So they don't even think about the throwing aspects.
Right.
And so one of them was Thomas Swanee this year. I asked him, he was scheduling, and I said, hey, what do you think about joining track and field? He goes, I don't run. I said, well, there's 2 other events where we don't run at all.
Right.
We kind of just throw. You might have to make it around the track, and he's improving too. So
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so the misconception, like, I think you can find almost anything you want in track and field. Like, there's
so
you
much,
find something to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime we get the track word out there and get more people to join, that would be great.
Well, thank you so much, Coach Bowker, for coming on for the great interview.
Great coach.
Great coach.
I mean, he's taught me everything I know about throwing. So, hey, special man, and does a great job.
Yes, indeed.
So, speaking of track and field, speaking of throwing, last week both track teams had a very light week, with only one invitational on Saturday at Farmington High School. This is so weird to me. On this side, my mic's on this side, usually on that side. Standout players from the boys' side were Braxton Sipes, who placed 6th in the 1600 meter with a new PR of 4 minutes and 25 seconds. The 4x400 relay team that consisted of Jack Winterburn, Stephen Johnson, Julian Burns, and Nathan Guthrie got 5th with a new PR of 3 minutes and 27 seconds. This was a 7-second PR from their last, and is a second fastest in school history.
Yeah.
So great job to that 4x400 relay team. What about the girls, Ben?
So on the girls' side, the standout performance was Jada Ewell, who came first in discus and 6th place in shot put. But great job to everybody that competed there. Super big meet, invitational. But speaking of invitationals, this Friday is the OAA White Championship meeting at Adams High School.
Very exciting.
It is.
Very excited.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Boys baseball. Last week, the boys had a big week against their biggest rival, the Berkeley Bears. The Ravens started off the series with a horrific loss, and with only one whole hit the whole game. One hit the whole game. In game two at home, they bounced back with a win, 5-1. What happened in the final game of the series and tiebreaker, Ben?
Unfortunately, Sam, the Ravens lost under the Memorial Park lights last Friday night with a final score of 6-1. It was very heartbreaking, but the team did bounce back on Saturday with a doubleheader against Warren Mott, where they mercied them both games.
Yeah, it sucks. Losing on the Memorial Lights.
That's sweet.
Friday night, too. It's like Friday Night Lights. This week, the boys have 3 games against Southfield A&T. By the time you hear this episode, they will already have played on Monday and Tuesday. The third game is away on Thursday at 4:30. Good luck, boys. Girls lacrosse.
The girls lacrosse team had 2 games this last week. In the first game, they lost to Clarkson with a final score of 9-6.
The girls team, they bounced back and got the win over Waterford with a final score of 9-8. Standout player from this game was Sinead Oster, and we were just told that she was amazing. This week, the girls have 3 games. By the time you are listening to this episode, the girls would have already played Stony Creek on Monday. Then they take on Oxford on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And their last game of this week is on Saturday at home against Regina at 11:30. Boys lacrosse.
The guys had 1 game this past week because most of them were rained out.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But they did beat Farmington with a final score of 15-10.
And by the time you are listening to this episode, the guys have already taken on Oxford. Then on Wednesday they play Fenton at the Nest at 7 p.m. All right, so girls tennis. Rain interrupted Monday's match against Athens. But fear up, we're picking up that one on May 7th, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, so
that already happened.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, they beat Oxford with a 6-2 win. Hannah Saunders and Abby Bloomfield stole the spotlight with their standout performances.
Wednesday's rivalry match against Berkeley ended in a 5-3 victory for us. Anna Lazinski, Maddie Lawrence, Izzy Richer delivered clutch plays that secured the win.
And Thursday,
there was a lightning-fast 8-0 win against Avondale. Sweet redemption against a rival coach. What do the girls have this week?
The girls have 2 matches this week. The first match is on Wednesday against Cousino, and on Friday they have a OAA Leagues quad match. Good luck, girls. Girls soccer. The girls had only 1 game this past week at Seaholm. They won the game with a final score of 3-0. Standout players from this one were Cece Irwin, Olivia Bates, and Megan Hahn.
The girls have 3 games this week. They will have already played Oxford on Monday, but then on Wednesday they take on the Dragons from Lake Orion, and on Friday they play Lands Cruise North. Good luck, girls.
It's the end of an era.
Well, thank you for listening.
Should I cry?
Yeah. Thank you for listening to episode 17 of the Raven Roundup. We hope you enjoyed this past week from spring sports while listening to a fantastic interview with Coach Bowker.
And thank you all so much for listening to the first season of the Raven Roundup. Listening and or watching, I want to thank all the coaches, all the players that have been on, the people that provide, the teams that provide information each and every week.
The athletic trainer.
Athletic trainer, the athletic director, Mr. Russell, athletic trainer Clarissa. I want to thank my family, my friends. I want to thank Mr. Conrad for helping. I want to thank everyone that's been involved. I want to thank Ben. And you guys all made this happen. And me and Ben just sat in here and just talked. So thank you guys so much. And I really appreciate it. But for now, I'm going to send it off to Ben Machiniak, as he is the new co-host. Or
New host.
leave that in, Ben. He is the new host of the Raven Roundup.
Well, thank you all for listening. I'm your new host, Ben Machiniak.
And I'm your ex-host, Sam Klonke.
And I will see you all next year on the Raven Roundup.
And I will be listening from East Lansing. But for now,
Remember,
that it's a great day to be a Raven. Stay safe.